All right. Peace and power and elevation be to everybody. Salam alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak to everybody. I hope everybody enjoyed a good fast. Um, I hope everybody enjoyed a Ramadan so far. So, speaking of fast and Ramadan, that's the subject I'm going to be discussing. But before I get there, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, share my channel, and like my channel, all that great stuff. And also check out other contents I have on here too. Okay? All right. On this subject, I want to talk about why Ramadan is a very important month slash holiday and why fasting is so important. And I'm going to get into the concept about the definition of fasting and Ramadan. Okay. Then we're going to talk about the health benefits of fasting on the month of Ramadan. All right. And if I have enough time to, I will talk about the dietary customs because there is a certain type of diet that is taking place in Islam. Okay, there's a certain type of dietary custom. Now, if I can't get into that, all the way, I'm gonna get to it just a little bit. All right, so I'm just gonna go through with information and be able to share it with the people on the platform. Right. All right, then. So let me go ahead and get started. So make sure you guys subscribe and like the channel, hit the notification bell, and all that great stuff. All right. Okay. So we're going to look up the information about Ramadan. Okay. And I have some books or read materials. Okay. That kind of supports the concept of Ramadan. All right, so I'm going to go through each material by material. All right, so let's start with the first source, the wiki source. Okay. So let's look over here. What is Ramadan? So Ramadan, also spelled Ramazan or Ramadan, in the month is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar, observed by Muslims worldwide as a month of fasting, prayer, reflection, and community. A commemoration of Muhammad's first revelation. The annual observance of Ramadan is regarded as one of the 5 pillars of Islam and lasts 29 to 30 days from one sighting of the crescent moon to the next. All right. So it talks about fasting from dawn is fraud obligatory for all Muslims who are not acutely or chronically ill, traveling, elderly, breastfeeding, diabetic, or menstruating. All right. The pre-dawn meal is referred to as zuhur, and the light nightly feast that breaks the fast is called iftar. Although fatwas have been used declaring that Muslims who live in regions with a midnight sun or polar night should follow the timetable of Mecca. It is common practice to follow the timetable of the closest country in which night can be distinguished from day. Okay. So the rewards of the tawa of fasting are believed to be multiplied during Ramadan. Accordingly, Muslims refrain not only from food and drink, but also alcohol products, sexual relation, and sinful behavior, devoting themselves instead to salat and studying of the Quran. Okay. So as you can see, the word Ramadan derived from the Arabic root Ramadi, scorching heat, which is the classical Arabic verb ramida, meaning becoming intensely hot, becoming burning, become scorching, be blazing, and be glowing. Now, they kind of explain why Ramadan usually lasts on the hottest Gregorian month for us. All right. So usually when you fast on Ramadan, it'll be around the spring and summer, usually. But as I said, Ramadan may not always fall on the spring. It may not always fall on the summer. You know what I'm saying? But usually it's around those time periods. So during the day, you're fasting all day. That means you're not drinking any type of beverage, including water, and you don't have any food in your stomach. So you're fasting all day long. All day long. You go 10 to 11 hours without food and drink in your stomach. 10 to 11 hours or maybe 12 hours without food and drink in your stomach all day. Especially if it's hot. Now you might be thirsty, you might be dehydrated, you might be like, look, I need something to drink, whatever. Yeah, but that's how the fasting normally be. Now, if you have a case of a serious health issue that requires you not to fast that long, or you have to have something, that's a different story. You shouldn't be trying to fast. But outside of that, if you don't have any type of health issue or any type of pregnancy related issue, or if you're not nursing, or if you're not a small child or infant, you got to fast. Yeah, and as for me, I do this because, for one, it's a reminder of the fact when I first got introduced to Islam, that's one of the things I had to do was fast. Okay, that was one of the things I had to do was fast. All right, and then two, another reason why I'm fasting now is because it's not just for me; it's a personal connection to my ancestor as well. That is my mother, because my mother is no longer here with me physically, and she was the one that used to practice Islam. She got me introduced to Islam. So if she was still an active Muslim today, she will be fasting. So since she's not here to fast, I fast for her, as a way to give my commemoration, as a way to honor her, as a way to give her her blessing. Her birthday is at the end of this month, April. So, for the month of April, I definitely made sure that I fast because, especially just to honor her, just to give her the commemoration. So I call this also an ancestral fast. I call it an ancestral fast. It's when you fast to give commemoration to those who are no longer here with you, and you honor them for that whole month, and it's your way to refrain from everything, your activity throughout the day, so you could just take the time out to, not only reflect on the Creator, but reflect on those loved ones and give thanks for what they have done, and just sit back and look back on the memory of the things they did, and in those type of cases. So yeah, that's one of my personal reasons. So yeah, but yeah, that's the territory of Ramadan. Let's continue. So it says Ramadan is thought as one of the names of God in Islam by some, and as much as such, it is reported in many hadiths that it is prohibited to say only Ramadan in reference to the calendar month, and that is necessary to say month of Ramadan as reported in Sunni, Shia, and Zaidi sources. Okay. Now you go down to where talk about the history, right? Okay, so this is Surah 2, verse 185. It says the month of Ramadan is that in which was revealed the Quran, a guidance for mankind and clear proofs of the guidance and the criterion of right and wrong. And whoever so of you is present, let him fast the month. And whoever so you is sick on a journey, a number of other days, Allah desire for you ease. He desired not hardship for you, and that you should complete the period, and that you should magnify Allah for having guide you, and that perhaps you may be thankful. All right. So it goes on to say, Muslims hold that all scripture was revealed during Ramadan. The scrolls of Abraham, Torah, Psalms, Gospel, and Quran have been handed down on the 1st, 6th, 12th, and 13th, and 24th Ramadans, respectively. Muhammad is said to have received his first Quranic revelation on Yalat al-Qadir, one of the five odd numbered nights that fall during the last 10 days of Ramadan. Okay. So it says, although Muslims were the first commanded to fast in the second year of Hijrah, they believe that practice of fasting is not, in fact, an innovation of monotheism, but rather has always been necessary for believers to attain taqwa, the fear of God. They pointed they pointed to the fact that the pre-Islamic pagans of Mecca fasted on the 10th day of Muharram to expiate sin and avoid drought. Philip Jenkins argued that the observance of Ramadan fasting grew out of the strict Lenten discipline of the Syrian churches, a postulation corroborated by other scholars, including theologian Paul Gordon Chandler, and but disputed by some Muslim academics. Okay, so it was said that the concept of Ramadan came out the Syrian churches, but there's many Muslim scholars that argue against the whole speculation. All right, let's see. So the first and last dates of Ramadan are determined by the lunar Islamic calendar. All right. So, okay, so as you can see, beginning, this is the Gregorian calendar. All right. So again, they go by the moon cycle. It goes by the moon cycle. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Ramadan started on April the 2nd, 2022. Now the next Ramadan is going to be on March the 23rd, right? 2023. That's the next Ramadan. But this Ramadan started on April the 2nd, 2022. Okay? All right. So let's see. So I'm not going to spend that much on Ramadan fasting. All right. So let's look at what is and there's a book that people can check out too. I'll make sure I post it in the description link. It's called Your Day in Ramadan. All right. Your Day in Ramadan. And then there's this article, it's called Fasting During Ramadan in Adolescents with Diabetes. Check this out. All right, so here's the introduction. I'm gonna skip down. All right. It talks about fasting, okay, for those who are diabetic. So it says, fasting during the day influences the control of diabetes because of changes in meal times, the type of food eaten, and daily lifestyle. Therefore, there is high risk of developing acute complication like hypoglycemia or ketoacidosis during fasting. The major risk of diabetes who fast during Ramadan is hypoglycemia. On the other hand, the excessive consumption of sweet and fried foods, especially with the iftar meal, may be predisposed to hyperglycemia. Many patients with diabetes insist on fasting during Ramadan, create a challenge for themselves and their health care provider despite knowing all the risks. There are limited studies on Ramadan, and most of the studies have been done in adults with type 2 diabetes. The one observational study done in children and adolescents used conventional regimen with twice a day suitable insulin with isophane. Then goes on to say that the American Association work group suggests that care of the fasting diabetics must be highly individualized. Medical assessment and education should take place before the start of fasting. There should be frequent monitoring of blood glucose, especially for those who are on insulin. A healthy, balanced diet should be maintained. Complex carbohydrates are recommended at the pre-dawn meal, which should be taken as late as possible, and simple carbohydrates at the sunset meal. Fluid intake should be increased in the non-fasting hours. A normal level of activity should be maintained, avoiding excessive activities in the hours before the sunset meal. The fast should be broken if glucose level is low or a patient experiencing signs, symptoms of hypoglycemia, and if sugar glucose level is was it greater than 16.7 milliliter or something like that. Wow. So it says some physicians are of the opinions that fasting during Ramadan is safe for type 1 diabetic mellitus patients, including adolescent and older children with good glycemic control who do self-monitoring and are under close professional supervision. In Bangladesh, more than 90% of the population are Muslim. Many children and adolescents with diabetes insist to fast, but there is no study on children and adolescents who fast during Ramadan in Bangladesh. This study was concluded to see the safety and changes in hemoglobin A1C, weight, episodes of hypoglycemia in patients who did fasting during Ramadan. All right, so that is the report, but I would say this. I would say that it's not a safe thing to even try to fast while you're going through something such as diabetes, okay? That would just be my opinion, because anything could go wrong. Your sugar level can go very low, and if your sugar level is very low, then you go into a diabetic coma. All right. If your sugar level is very high, you're gonna go into a diabetic coma. So now, if you want to cut back on meals, right, like your little favorite routine, which you should be trying to cut back on anyhow, if you got diabetes, then that's different. Now, if you want like eat like one portion, a small portion during the day, like or every 5 hours or something like that, then that's different. Because you know what I'm saying, you eat a little portion, then you drink a little something that's gonna sustain you. But I would not recommend to go without food and drink for 12 hours a day. That is very risky. That's very risky. But let's see what the study's also shown on here. Okay, let's see what the study's talking about. All right, so all right, so it goes into the materials and methods, etc. All right, let's look at the result from that. It said a total of 33 children and adolescents were included in this study. Here, 16 were males and 17 were female. Majority, 60.6% of the patients could complete their fasting during the Ramadan. Patients were divided into two groups. Those who completed fasting were considered as group 1, whereas patients who broke the fast were in group 2. Mean age was 13 and a half. 13 and a half and 20 in fasting group, and was 13.4 plus or minus 2.0. I think I read that wrong, but anyways, in the other group, females 65.0% participants were higher than males 35.0 in group 1, whereas males 69.2% were higher than females 30.8% in group 2. Mean duration of diabetes was 21.7 plus 27.3 months in group 1, compared with 15.1 through 15.3 months in group 2. All right, so basically here it is, says 2 patients missed school for 1 day, one from group 1 and another one from group 2. Patient in group 1 developed mild symptoms of hypoglycemia, one before iftar and another patient after iftar at night. 23.1%. Patients from group 2 developed mild hypoglycemia and broke the fast. However, there was no incident of the DKA or associated ketones in both groups. 66% patient in group 1 and 75% in group 2 did HMBG regularly as per instruction. Mean glucose level before iftar was higher in group 1 compared that in group 2. In group 2, mean blood glucose before sahur was higher compared with that in group 1. However, blood glucose declined to normal around midday in both groups. No significant difference was seen in blood glucose before iftar or after sahur. All right, so that's the studies about fasting during Ramadan in adolescent and diabetes. This is the article. Okay, so they really doing a study on kids who were from Bangladesh area. All right. Yeah, but like I said, I wouldn't recommend that. But if you do take on that fast and you have diabetes, just be careful. Don't go too long without having anything, because your sugar level can always either have some type of inflation or deflation. So I wouldn't recommend that fasting throughout the day if you're under a health condition such as diabetes. All right. Okay. So this website right here is called ing.org, educating for cultural literacy and mutual respect. Right. So this gives more information about Ramadan and the sheets, etc. All right. Okay. So it talks about Eid al-Fitr, which I'm going to speak on like towards the end of Ramadan, because that's a holiday that's being celebrated at the end of Ramadan. So I'll talk about Eid afterwards. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go into the concept about fasting. Okay. So what is fasting? All right. So what is shram? Now in Arabic is pronounced as shram. The Arabic word for fasting, shram, in the Quran, the word shram literally means to abstain. Chapter Maryam of the Quran says that Mary, the mother of Jesus, said, I have vowed a shram for the sake of the merciful. So today I shall not speak to anyone. According to the Sharia, the word shram means to abstain from all those things that are forbidden during fasting from the break of dawn to the sunset, and to do this with the intentions of fasting. Now it talks about the purpose of fasting, right? Okay. It says the purpose of fasting, of course, you go to Surah 2, verse 183. The Quran says, "O you who believe, fasting is prescribed for you as it was prescribed for those who were before you, in order that you may learn taqwa." All right, taqwa is a very important spiritual and ethical term of the Quran. It is the sum total of all Islamic spirituality and ethics. It is a quality in a believer's life that keeps him or her aware of God all the time. A person who has taqwa loves to do good and avoid evil for the sake of God. Taqwa is piety, righteousness, and consciousness of God. Taqwa requires patience and perseverance. Fasting teaches patience, and with patience, one can rise to the high position of taqwa. So the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that fasting is a shield. It protects a person from sinful and lustful desire. When a disciple of Jesus asked him how to cast the evil spirits away, he is reported to have said, "But this kind never comes out except by prayer and fasting." All right, so it then goes down to, according to Imam al-Ghazali, fasting produced a semblance of divine quality of samadhiya in a human being. Imam Ibn Qayyim viewed fasting as a means of releasing the human spirit from the clutches of desire, thus allowing moderation to prevail in the cardinal self. Imam Shah Wahullah Dalawi viewed fasting as a means of weakening the bestow and reinforcing the angelic elements in the human being. Maulana Mududi emphasize that fasting for a month every year trains a person individually and the Muslim community as a whole in piety and self-restraint. All right, so salam, salam, salam. How are you? Salam. Peace be upon you. How you doing? Salam alaikum, sis. All right, so let's talk about it. So what's the benefit of fasting? Well, fasting helps bring more purity, right? It trains you how to be more disciplined and bring more awareness to yourself. Especially it trains you how to discipline your body. Okay. So you learn how to be able to maintain a good balanced meal and not overeat yourself, but it also when it comes to your thoughts, you're able to like purify your thoughts, you're able to clear your conscious soul. Think of fasting as a form of meditation. I know I use that word meditation a lot. It sounds very cliche-ish, but that's the best way to describe fasting as a form of meditation. You're meditating. You're meditating your thoughts. You're getting your thoughts away from all those impurities. Okay. You're purifying yourself. You're cleansing yourself, right? You're detoxing yourself, not just from the physical, but from the mental standpoint. Okay. Let me ask y'all this before I continue. Have you ever noticed that a lot of the Muslims, they look so young? They look so young. You're like, wow, why most of these Muslims look so young, especially the older people? Right? You may have somebody in their 70s that look like they in their 50s. Or you may have somebody in their 60s that may look like they in their 40s. Or you might have somebody in their 40s look like they in their 20s. Why is that? Because fasting is one of the reasons why they look young, right? Because it helps to purify them. It's like a natural detox. Okay. And then on top of that, the dietary custom law. And it's very similar in the Jewish culture as well, the Jewish religion. They have what's called kosher meat, kosher diet. All right. So same way in Islam, they have what's called halal diet. So you don't just not only refrain from eating pork or any type of meat that is prohibited, but you also have to make sure that the meat is slaughtered properly. Okay. And the word halal means lawful, right? The word haram means unlawful. Okay. So you have to make sure that those meat that you're getting, that it comes from those Islamic market, right? That's slaughtered by those who are Muslim, because there's a certain type of chant they do before they slaughter the meat. They have to say a certain type of prayer over the animal, etc., before they cut the animal up and all of that. And there's a way they have to cut the animal. They just can't, just chop them up. So it's a way they have to do it. All right. But anyways, yeah, because of the dietary laws, right? And because of fasting, that's why so many people start to look more fit and more active. And you see that in the Nation of Islam as well, they have their own custom when it comes to fast. Like once you join the nation, whatever, you have to go through like a 3 or 4 day fasting period, right? And then once you go through that fasting period, then you start to adjust to it, because that's your way of being able to purify yourself and cleanse yourself. Okay, you detox yourself from all those things that you have intake. All right. And then there's some people that's on vegan diets, which I'm not against people. Some people do veganism, vegetarian diets. Some do proletarian diets, which is like poultry, which that is chicken and turkey and duck, etc. And then there's those who do a keto diet. Keto diet is basically like a small portion meal, etc. You're not really eating a big old full course meal. You're just eating like little portion here and there. That consists of starchy vegetables and dairy products and stuff, but it's just a small portion meal kind of. Paleo diet is very similar, except that there's no starchy vegetables and there's no dairy products taking place. All right. But yeah, so that's one of the things is fasting. So fasting helps you to think clearly. It helps you be more peaceful. It helps you be more calm. Um, so it helps you to be more fit. And that's why you see a lot of Muslims. You would look at a lot of Muslims and you see they look very young. They'll look 20 years younger or 15 years younger than their age. All right. So again, you might have an elder that might be 75 years old, but he look like he's 60, or he look like he's 55, or he could be around 55. That's what you do. That's what happens when you put discipline on yourself, and you practice fasting, and you making sure you eat the appropriate diet, because that's a part of staying fit and healthy. All right. All right. That's good, sis. Thank you for coming through, though. That's good. All right. So let's go on and all right. So here you go. All right. So it says fasting is obligatory in the second year of Hijrah. Muslims were commanded to fast in the month of Ramadan every year, as mentioned in the verse above Al-Baqarah, Surah 2, 183. The Quran say further, the month of Ramadan is that in which was revealed the Quran, wherein guidance for mankind and the clear signs of guidance and distinction. Thus, whoever amongst you witness the month must fast. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained this further in a number of his statements reported in the book of Hadiths. It's reported by Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslims on the authority of Ibn Umar that the Messenger of God said Islam is built upon 5 pillars, testifying there is no God except for God, and that Muhammad is the Messenger of God, performing prayer, paying zakat, which is charity, making a pilgrimage to the sacred house or making Hajj, and fasting during the month of Ramadan. Okay. The entire Muslim world is unanimous in the principle of fasting in the month of Ramadan and consider it obligatory upon every person who is physically capable. All right. So who must fast? Muslims all over the world wait eagerly for Ramadan as it is time of increased inner peace and well-being. Fasting in the month of Ramadan is obligatory upon every adult Muslim, male, female, who has reached puberty, is sane, and who is not sick or traveling. Sickness could be a temporary sickness from which a person expects to be cured soon. Such a person should not fast during the days of his or her sickness, but he or she must fast later after Ramadan to complete the missed days. Those who are sick with incurable illness and expect no better health are also allowed not to fast, but they must pay the fidya, which is giving a day's meal for each fast missed to a needy person. Instead of food for one day, one can also give equivalent amount of money to a needy person. Women, menses, and postnatal bleeding are not allowed to. They must make up the fast later after Ramadan. If pregnant women and mothers who are nursing babies can also postpone the fasting to a later time when they are able to do so. Right. A travel according to Sharia is any journey that takes you away from your city or residence, a minimum of 48 miles or 80 kilometers. The journey must for a good cause. One must avoid frivolous travel during Ramadan, which causes a person to miss fast. If possible, one should try to change their travel plans during Ramadan to be able to fast and should not travel unless it is necessary. The traveler who misses the fasts of Ramadan must make those missed days later as soon as possible after Ramadan. All right. All right. All right, and it goes on to say fasting according to the Sunnah. Take Shahir. It is Sunnah, and there is a great reward and blessing in taking Shahir. The best time for Shahir is the last half hour before dawn, or the time of Fajr prayer. Okay. All right. So take iftar breakfast immediately after sunset. Sharia considers sunset when the disk of the sun goes below the horizon and disappear completely. All right. During the fast, abstain from all false talks and deeds. Do not quarrel, have disputes, indulge in arguments, use bad words, or anything that is forbidding. You should try to discipline yourself morally, ethically. Besides gaining physical training and discipline, you also not make a show of your fasting by talking too much about it, or by showing dry lips and a hungry stomach, or by showing a bad temper. The fasting person must be a pleasant person with good spirits and good cheer. All right, so during the fast, do acts of charity and goodness to others. Increase your worship and reading of the Quran. Everyone should try to read the whole Quran at least once during the month of Ramadan. Okay, so and it said things that invalidate fast. All right, so you must avoid doing anything that may render your fast invalid. Things you that invalidate the fast and require qada, making up for these days are the following: eating, drinking, or smoking delivery, including taking any non-items by mouth or nose. Delivery causing yourself to vomit. The beginning of menstrual or post-childbirth bleeding even in the last moment before sunset. Sexual intercourse or sexual contact or masturbation that result in ejaculation in men or vaginal secretion orgasm in women. All right, eating, drinking, smoking, or having sexual intercourse after Fajr on the mistaken assumption that it is not Fajr time yet. Right. Similarly, engaging in these acts before Maghrib on the mistaken assumption that it is already Maghrib time. All right. So in other words, you cannot have sex, right, after Fajr. All right. You can't have sex after Fajr. So once Fajr is over with, you know what I'm saying, you gotta do all your little activity before Fajr, all right, and then you gotta do all your activity after Maghrib. Once Maghrib take place, okay, then that's when you do that. So after Maghrib and before Fajr, between those hours, between those time periods, then you have time to actually indulge into doing your little pleasuring activity or whatever type of activity you want to do. All right. So Fajr prayer, right? Fajr prayer usually be around 5 in the morning. Okay. Between like 4:30 and 5 in the morning, that's Fajr. Okay. You know what I'm saying? That's usually like 5:30, 6 o'clock, somewhere like that. That's Fajr prayer. Okay. Before the sun come up. Okay. Around that time. Yep. And then Maghrib comes around, let's see, since it's daylight saving, so Maghrib comes around 7, like around 7, around 6 or 7 in the evening, by around 6, 7-ish. Well, in this case, the sun set around 7-ish, 7 or 8. So between like 7 and 8, that's Maghrib prayer. So around that time, once the Maghrib prayer comes, you know what I'm saying, after that, then you can break your fast and do what you got to do, whatever. Because once that sun set, that sun started to go down, you can do what you do and get your activity on. All right. All right, then. So, what else? Let's see what they're talking about, because, it's some do's and don'ts. All right, so sexual intercourse during fasting is forbidden. Those who engage in it must make both khada and kafara, meaning expiation by fasting for 60 days after Ramadan, or by feeding 60 poor people for each day of fast broken in this way. According to Imam Abu Hanifa, eating and or drinking deliberately during fast also entails the saying kafara. All right. So things that do not invalidate fasting, okay? Use a mishwak to clean your teeth does not invalidate fasting. During fast, the following things are permissible. Taking a shower or bath. If water is swallowed involuntarily, it will not invalidate the fast. According to most of the jurists, swimming is also allowed in fasting, but one should avoid diving because that will cause the water to go from the mouth or nose into the stomach. Using perfume, wearing contact lenses, or using eye drops. Taking injection or having a blood test. Using a mishwak or a toothbrush and rinsing the mouth or nostril with water provide it is not overdone, so as to avoid swallowing the water. Eating, drinking, or smoking unintentionally, forgetting that one was fasting, but one must stop as soon as one remembers and should continue one's fasting. All right. Sleeping during the daytime and having a wet dream does not break one fast. Also, if one has intercourse during the night and was not able to make gushul before, which is bathed before dawn, he or she can begin fasting and make gushul. All right. Women whose menstruation stopped during the night may begin fasting even if they have not made gushul yet. In all these cases, bathing is necessary, but fast is valid even without bathing. Okay, kissing between husband and wife is allowed in fasting, but one should try to avoid it so that one may not do anything further that is forbidding during fast. One thing can lead to the next. All right. So then it goes on to talk about the requirements for fasting to be valid. There are basically two main components of fasting. The intention, niyyah, for fasting. One should make a sincere intention to fast for the sake of God every day before dawn. The intention needs not be in words, but must be worthy with the sincerity of the heart and mind. Some jurisdictions are of the opinion that intention can be made once only for the whole month and does not have to be repeated every day. It is, however, better to make intention every day to take full benefits of fasting. All right, abstaining from dawn to dusk from everything that invalidates fasting as mentioned above. All right, so again, you can find this on islamiccity.org. That's the website. Okay, so Islamic legal rules of fasting. Okay, so and then the next information that I have over here, so it talks about this book. This book right here goes into Islamic fundamentals, zakat, and Zwam, with hints on the principle of economic system in Islam by Hadi Masood Atanda. Okay. Title, this was written in 2018. Okay, so let's go to page 34. All right, so chapter 2 deals with Swam. Definition. The Arabic term for fasting is Swam, which implies any form of self restraint. Okay. We went over that part. So here it is. So now let's go down to where it says the verses above give a clear picture of the definition of fasting. The first verse shows clearly that fasting was prescribed for people before Islam. It is necessary, therefore, to state that the Christian and the Jew perform fasting. It is thus an ancient form of worship recognized by the previous religion. It was also known to the ancient Egyptian, from whom it passed on to the ancient Greeks. Fasting had been performed by the Romans and even the pagans in India and elsewhere, and it is still practiced to this day. Islam, it is not a rite of propitiation, but it is observed as a religious obligation which helps to gain a superior piety. All right, so let's talk about the type of fasting, right? So fasting is broadly divided into two main categories: the obligatory fast, which is fard, which are the fast of the month of Ramadan, the fast of expiation or atonement, the fast in fulfillment or a will or vow. Okay. Compensatory fast, right? And then the second one is the voluntary fast, which is tatawu, which are fasting on alternate days, fasting 3 days in each lunar month, fasting on the day of Arafat, fasting on the 10th day of Muharram, fasting for the first 9 days of Dhul Hajj, and fasting on Mondays and Thursdays. Okay. All right. So All right, so that this book goes into the whole concept of zakat and swam, which is fasting. So I'm not going to go into any more detail behind it, etc. All right, I think you guys get the gist of it. Okay. All right, so Islamic fundamentals, zakat, and zwam. So I'm gonna post some of this information in my description link, so you guys can read up on it for yourself personally. All right. So, anyways, to leave off with that, so basically, y'all get it that fasting on the month of Ramadan is important. All right. So Ramadan is the 9th month of the Islamic calendar. And as I showed you guys, the chart is like a rotation, okay, based on the moon cycle, based on the moon. All right. So it's not like in the Gregorian calendar where everything is very consistent. Like October is gonna represent the fall, or June's gonna represent the summer, or May gonna represent the spring, and this December is going to represent the winter. No, it's not like that in the Islamic calendars. Basically, it's like the rotation based on the moon. Wherever that moon falls on, the full moon or whatever, or the crescent moon, wherever that crescent moon falls on, that's where, the beginning of the month might be. So the beginning of the month might be somewhere in the fall. The beginning of the month might be somewhere in the summer, or in the spring, or in the winter. It's just a constant rotation. Okay. So, and that's just how it goes. Yeah. But I hope you guys gained something out this video. Like I say, I'll make sure that I post some more information in the description link for those of you that are interested. Okay. But yeah, take this time out to do your fasting during this month of Ramadan. Ramadan is a very important month for us all, and it's necessary. Well, it's an important month for the Muslim especially. And I think fasting is a very great thing. I recommend people to do what I would call the Ramadan fast. If you could put yourself up for that challenge. Because that gives you a form of discipline, humility, and it brings about better self-control. You have more self-control over the things that you do. All right. So now some of the stuff that is mentioned in the article about, refraining from this thing, other, it's not very easy. It's not very easy from refraining from smoking if if you're used to doing that. Or refrain from sexual activity if you have some type of urge, and you know what I'm saying? It's not easy, but it's something that you have to work on, because it's for your benefits. It's for your benefits, and it's something that's going to benefit you in the long run. It's going to help you out. So it's all about the discipline. So just think of fasting as meditation that gives about discipline. Meditation that gives about discipline. That's all it is. It's just to purify oneself. That's it. So let me go ahead and log off. Thank you guys for watching this video. For those of you that are tuning in, and greetings to the chat. Shout out to the chat. Thank you to the chat. All right. So make sure you guys subscribe, like, share the channel, and hit the notification bell, and do all that great stuff. And until next time, all right, I will come back and do more topics. Okay? So it's your girl, Tiffany. And I want to say peace and power and elevation be to all of you. Salam alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak to all the brothers and sisters out there. I hope y'all had a great Ramadan. I hope y'all had a great Juma. Okay? I hope y'all did, because Juma is another important day, which is on the Friday for the Islamic service. So I hope you guys had a great one. And I wish I could I forgot to mention about the dates. Okay. So I don't have any dates, so I had to use some fruit to break my fast. But yeah, dates are normally used to break fast. All right. So, there's some type of chant that you say or prayer that you say before you break your dates. I mean, before you break your fast or whatever. So, but yeah, normally people break their fast with dates. Yeah, that's what I forgot to mention. But anyways, let me go ahead and log off. All right. Peace.